Hi, everybody. I'm going to wait until this live posts before I start. Um, I have woken up this morning to quite the day, so I will give it a minute or two. And if anybody comes in, just let me know that you can hear me. Seeing me really doesn't matter so much. I have the littlest out here with me. She's laying in the shade. I may move into the shade too. It's getting warmer now, 11:30, right before lunch. So I'm just gonna wait, but I am super nervous and my hands are shaking. But it is time to do this video. So I'm going to be sharing my testimony and experiences, and I want to apologize in advance for when, not if, when the AC kicks on. It's very loud and annoying. So I apologize, but as I always say, my recording spaces are limited. So I work with what I got. So I will say that normally I record videos and I don't do live streams. And for me, that's kind of dumb because, oh, and there it goes. Live streams for me give me the ability to interact and bounce energy like a tennis match or ping pong, like a true discussion, rather than recording where I'm just talking to my device and I can't get that back and forth energy that for me personally, I require to have in order to have an effective conversation or discussion, is to be able to bounce ideas back and forth, share ideas, research findings, learned knowledge, all that stuff, experiences, which is what I'm doing today. So I figured, oh, she just got tangled, my little windy snake. So I have to unravel her leash, and I'm probably going to move into the shade too. Oh, wow. You went under my whole chair, didn't you? Okay. It's really ugly out, typical anymore here in Florida, which I do report on that just about daily because I am an advocate for the wildlife. Hi, Alex. I wanted to wait. I just did a little minor intro to wait, and I was talking about the reason I'm doing a live stream today and not a recorded video is, well, facts and truth. I am facing my fear, which is very difficult for me to do. Sharing this particular testimony, which I'm going to talk about my experiences with dark forces throughout my entire life. And I just want to say before I do that, that alone is very difficult for me to do because many of those experiences were very traumatic for me. So it's difficult to revisit them. And B, translating metaphysical concepts into English words is near impossible. So I will do my best. So I'm quite nervous. It's hot, plus I'm sweating, my hands are shaking, and I've had forces opposing me in doing this video even today. I woke up this morning, and as I was making my coffee, I looked at the digital clock on the stove top, and it was 9:11 exactly, which is today's date. And that in and of itself is significant here in the United States of America, or we all know 9/11 2001. Um, I consider, based on my research, to be an inside job, domestic terrorism, if you will. But that's another topic for another day. Today is the anniversary of that fateful event. And also, I want to send out love and peace in prayers to Charlie Kirk's family as he was assassinated yesterday. No matter anybody's political view, left, right, red, blue, it matters not. A human life was taken in an act of hatred, which is the definition of violence, murder, assassination. And I'm a realist. I call things for exactly what they are. I don't sugarcoat. I am not politically correct, and I'm not socially polite. That's gotten me a lot of hate in this lifetime, but that too is not for this video. I do want to give a huge shout out to channels who are friends, I consider friends of mine, who have played an important role in my journey in dealing with some of these metaphysical things and experiences with dark forces, demonic interactions, whatever the case may be, because their testimonies gave me courage while going through my own, gave me insight to be able to recognize things that very similarly had happened to me, gave me a foundation where I could find some kind of starting point to at least try to make sense of it, because I question everything, everyone, even my own motives in just about everything I do in a day. I question the thoughts that go through my mind. I question God, and that right there is another thing that gave me courage to finally do this video that I've been procrastinating and putting off for far too long since I had my old channel. I'll just put it that way. And Alex, you were there at that time, so you know how long that's been. I'm going to try to keep up with the comments, but if I take my focus away, I'll lose my courage to spit it out. So bear with me, please. Let me slow down a little bit. So huge shout out to my friends who have shared topics that were not easily accepted by society or mainstream. And probably, oh, we got a jet and we had a military helicopter go over yesterday, FYI. So, as I say, these channels, the first one, I would love to give a huge shout out and much love to the Peace Dealer, Fleur Brune, John Binney, and Nova Supernova, Corey Mack, Blue Flame Integration, along this 7-year journey of awakening myself now, even question my own sanity at times, because things happen to me that just don't happen to the average person. And I'm talking scary, paranormal, metaphysical, demonic, dark things. Agents, whether I call them agents of the matrix, which are most likely probably acronym agency related or GOV related, but I just call them agents. Oh, and how could I forget the Disorderly Fashion? Please check out my friend's channel. He's a very gifted musical artist, activist in his music as well, gifted tarot reader. But it was actually because of him. And we are very good friends to this day. He's one of my best friends, as a matter of fact, all the way across the entire planet in Australia. His was the very first video, and I think it was probably 2018 that I watched, and he had a friend there who wore a mask during this video, didn't want to reveal his identity because they were talking about gang stalking and being a targeted individual and voice to skull technology that implants thoughts into your mind from remote locations. And I was like, oh my God, this was the very first time. And I'm almost 49 years old, okay? I've lived almost a half a century on this planet and in this lifetime. And this was the first time I had heard anyone outside of my own experiences talk about anything like this. And I went on a mad search thanks to him. And if he had not shared and had his friends share their testimonies, their stories, I wouldn't be here today. And oh, and I forgot another channel. I'm so sorry. See, this is how it is with everything coming at me in my mind as well as intuitively, which is how I receive a lot of information as well. But Helen the Frosty, Christed, she has a different screen name now. We all of us who found each other at that same time back then, we've changed our screen names quite a bit, Sandor. So, except one of us, I think that would be That Way, is still That Way. That Way, That Way, That Way. But anyways, I have so many friends, and Bridget, Genevieve. I mean, there's so many friends on these YouTube channels in what I like to call my little circle of people I trust and love the most in this world. Two other channels that are kind of mainstream, but did a lot for me in my spiritual side of the journey, explaining scriptural things and how they related, was Willing Witness, who was then Global Witness, Derek Bros, and Jacob's Ladder, who is now, or was Jacob Israel, is now Jacob's Ladder. But they both had a lot to do helping me decipher, like, I get a lot of messages in books, especially scripture, the same way that a lot of tarot readers do in their cards. And I'm usually pretty good at relating it to modern day experiences because I do believe the Bible in and of itself is like a spiritual guidebook that kind of takes you from Genesis to Revelation through the hero who is the fool's journey, who in the beginning is low vibrational, carnal nature, has to learn through laws and rules how to become civilized and then ascend into being Christed or given your wings so that you are enlightened, hence the halo. The Bible is so not only like literal, and that's how a lot of churches unfortunately preach it, is literally and only literally, and it's not. It's very spiritual, metaphysical, astrological, numerological, prophetic, philosophical. There's so much, and there's a lot of wisdom, and it teaches the human how to have a moral compass. And we are moral biological beings. So, in a very immoral world, it's getting here, anyways, more disgusting and vulgar and violent by the day, literally. Like, okay, so let me start this video. I was born oh wait, the dark forces that were already opposing me this morning, I wrote a whole description before I started this live stream, like a disclaimer, like, please bear with me, I'm super nervous, and I've never really discussed what I'm about to say in full detail like I'm going to do in this video. I kind of put a disclaimer like that out, and I was like, please, no hate and no judgment. This is a hate-free, judgment-free zone. We are all here to learn and to share and to grow, and that's all God requires of us. To love thy neighbor and do unto others as we would have done unto ourselves. It's pretty simple. But I had so many things working against me even to do this video. And then I opened my trusty dusty there, my big monstrosity of a Bible. And I opened it to the book of Job. And how convenient for me, because every time I'm in my feels and very resentful and hating life and kind of just wanting to be out of here, I don't really understand why people who aren't deserving seem to win in this world. And the best people like that I could ever know are always on the losing end. And I get mad about that. And I want justice for everyone, including animals, including the elements, water, purest element that we flush our excrement down every day. I mean, like, what are we doing to this planet? But let me not get off on that tangent. This is why I smoke too, because I need grounding and it helps me ground. I don't recommend smoking for any youth who has never tried it. Please don't start, because nicotine is addictive. I'm living proof. And I'm a mom, so I get to say, do as I say, not as I do. Love you. Anyways, every single person, every single plant, every single animal, every single rock and stone, every single grain of sand, every drop of water, every petal of a flower, every pine cone, every fence, every house, every power line, every light bulb, every cell phone, every blade of grass, every cat emits a frequency, a vibration, a harmonic vibration frequency. Biological beings also have a chemical signature and pheromonic imprint too. Non-biologicals don't, though. And with that frequency, dark forces are able to view your energetic light spectrum. Please bear with my words. It's so difficult for me to translate these concepts into a very limited language. So I'm doing the best that I can, but I'm going to be very clunky with it. Even these things that are always up there emit a frequency, and that's kind of what's been being used against us. These EMP pulses are pulsed like a flash against them, sound waves. And when the sound waves hit the you-know-what's up there, the chems, it causes an effect. So when I was born, every soul that comes into this plane when you are born, it's like, imagine a shooting star, like a light. And once you get here, you imprint your energy on Earth. So now you have an Earth frequency. You're like a little walking antenna. I don't know how else to explain it. Well, negative or dark forces can see this too, and they can disrupt your frequency. They can project things at you to warp your frequency. They can use dark magic to veil your frequency. Anyways, so this is just a theory. I have I've received no insight, like intuitive insight or anything, or revelations, nor have I done any research, obviously, because this isn't a topic that I could see being widely researched in the last however many years. But when souls are entering this plane of existence and being born in a geographic location on this planet, I'm kind of leaning towards that maybe the weather is also affected in that general region and area, just for that shift in energy. Like, for instance, when Jesus was crucified and when he expired and gave his final breath, the veil was torn, right? So, like, for me, when I was born, there was a huge blizzard happening. So it was revealed to me quite some years ago that I have been targeted since I was in my mother's womb. And let me also say, before I really get into my life of experiences that followed after that, for anybody who comes in as I'm discussing these things, I know they're taboo subjects. Like, this is why I never got any help in the 30 years that I was a mental health patient in this mental health medical industry. Is number one, they pretty much label anyone with any extra human ability. I won't say super or sub, I'll say something they don't understand. They just put a label on it, and that label has become the autism spectrum. You notice how they make it a spectrum so they can generalize and cover a whole smorgasbord of abilities that people have. And, some of the things that I was born with is a super high capacity of unconditional love, aka a super empath. And that right there means that my auric light was probably very bright, and I can't say it's as bright as it was when I was younger, because although I am still a person who very much is of unconditional love, I've been blemished in this lifetime being here, and I've learned although I don't practice it, but I've learned to take a lot of hate. And that's changed me. It really has. Not for better or worse, I won't say that, but it's changed me. So I guarantee it absolutely has an impact on the color spectrum and wavelength frequency of my aura as a whole. I absolutely do. So I was shown in visions, that's one ability, curse, whatever somebody wants to call it, which in this world that likes to label people for their differences, they call it autism. But what autism really stands for is basically being a star seed. Like, that's pretty much having abilities that they don't. So they don't understand it. And instead of trying to learn, they just label and medicate or lock you in a psych ward, which these are the things I'm going to talk about. So I believe that when everyone incarnates on this plane, when they're born, they are very much known before they even get here and targeted if they are of any kind of threat to the current established matrix. Well, seeing who I am today and knowing what I stand against today, I guess they were right. And my whole life, things have been done against me and to prevent me coming into my fullness and my wholeness and into my personal power, which I very much believe was purposefully done to prevent exactly what I just said. So it was revealed to me that when I was in my mother's womb, as well as my sister, I should say, there was black magic, dark magic being cast, and my mom ended up giving birth to her first daughter, who was stillborn. My sister came out stillborn. And then a year later, I was born. And when I was born, I was so yellowed with jaundice that I had to be put in an incubator for a few days. And I was given shots of gamma globulin. I'm sorry, I have to laugh now because I didn't laugh when I was younger, and I've suffered a lot in my life, but since I've learned and grown and come into myself inside, I laugh anymore because 9 times out of 10, their attempts against me have ended up backfiring on them. So I do find some joy in that because, like, I've taken a beating my whole life. And so when these attacks do backfire, I'm like, haha. And I think I'm entitled to that. I think I'm allowed to have that, at least. So, and the reason I say that is for the gamma globulin shots that I received and the blue light that I also received at birth. I was born with a super immune system. Like, I can't tell you. I have had everything. Chicken pox so bad they were in my ear canals and down my throat. Strep throat, scarlet fever, measles, whooping cough. I've had it all. I've been stung by jellyfish, stung by wasps, poisonous red fire ants. Oh, let me think. I have drank water from a still pond swarming with geese and ducks and all their poop and parasites, and I'm still here. I have taken a serrated blade to my own wrist some years ago. I have done just about every type of illicit drug available and had such a life of wanting to escape and self-medicating and being codependent and being given all kinds of psychiatric prescriptions for 30 years. I wrote a list out once, and there were over 100 different medications that I was prescribed and over 50 different doctors. I have spent time in multiple psychiatric wards as well as drug treatment centers in the past, placed against my will and very much in an environment that is literally one step up from prison, literally. And anyone who wants to debate that, watch any movie ever throughout the history of movies ever, from the time of black and white movies, where they ever depicted an asylum or a mental health facility psychiatric ward. And let's go. So Frosty Helen, did a video yesterday on her experiences with, yesterday or the day before. I'm sorry, I work and every day pretty much blurs into one another anymore. I just try to stay out of it all and stay in my own little corner of the world. But she was talking about the Annabelle doll, which is very much a cursed object. And that is why one reason the Bible speaks against having idols around is because what dark forces will do, especially on mirrors, which everyone holds one in their hand these days, lest we forget, but they like to enchant them, do hand magic on them, which is drawing sigils, sealing them, if you will, casting entities into them, and then using other things, blood, whatever, semen, spit. They have a lot of things that they do. But any object which would be considered an idol can be enchanted or projected or possessed, if you will, with a dark energy. And I also want to point out the fact to those who don't know, in computing, when you have a background running process, like think of a career paperboy that has to run around to everybody's office and deliver the mail to everybody's office, and he has to do it within 30 minutes time. Boom, 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 right? Well, in computing, these processes that run in the background that like get your email to the next recipient or get your photograph uploaded to that app, those little background things that we don't have to do that are done for us. In computing, they're called daemons, Daemon. And that's exactly what demons are. They are frequencies. They are non-physical, not material, although they can place themselves into physical beings. That's how people get possessed. They can do it to animals. They can shapeshift into humans, depending on that person's shield, their auric shield, and how strong it is at repelling and keeping out negative influences. So if people are very low vibrational, negative, living in a carnal nature, basically from the waist down, they're more susceptible. And that's unfortunately occurring more and more and more and more and more and more in the world. You see all of this violence and hatred towards one another and judgment and killing and controlling and enslaving and worshiping false idols, idolizing others. Like, that is the environment of the dark realms, and they are steady bringing it here to this plane. And in my life, I have been followed. I have been, okay, I told my son on the phone yesterday, I'll retell this story. When I was homeless in the city of Wilkes-Barre, it was raining one night and I spent the night in a porta potty so that I could lock the door. However, it was so unbearable and the stench was so disgusting I couldn't stand it. And I'm so tired, it's dark out. I left and I'm carrying my bags. And when that's all you do every day and night is have to move spots because cops tell you to, or you're lugging your belongings around because you don't dare leave it anywhere because it will get stolen. And that's all you've got to your name. And you're constantly looking where to get food, where to get water, where to relieve yourself. You're constantly in fight or flight mode. I know because I was there for years, and it also didn't kill me. Oh, nice one, Luna. She wrapped around here, got her harness off, and said, "Yeah, that's it for me." Sweet cat. Come on, I'll bring you in. Mommy will be in 1 second, okay? We'll go in, she says. Well, I don't really want to, but oh, you want to do it yourself. Okay. Well, that makes sense. Let her in the AC, and then I'll get back to me. That also is a factor. I will say I'm not really a fan of talking about myself, so I like when I'm feeling down or sad or moody or whatever, something's going on with me. I kind of isolate. I keep to myself because I don't want to bring anybody down or like lower their vibration with mine. Not the healthiest thing to do, but I do try to be mindful of others. So, unfortunately, having to be at the mercy of living with or around other people all the time has also taken a negative toll on me and whoever I've been around because I'm sorry, but humans are not meant to be shoved into small spaces, crowded together, and expect to thrive. And that unfortunately wouldn't be a problem if the rich wouldn't be so greedy and hoard everything for themselves and then cram everybody into little tiny spaces so they can have more. Things like that. Luna the superstar, yes. I don't have my bifocals on. I only have my distance glasses on. So now I'm like, oh, now I am allergic. I am allergic to amoxicillin and penicillin. Go figure. The antigen is allergic to the antibiotic. I mean, how do people literally, which I'm to blame too. My parents gave me antibiotics when I was a kid. I gave prescribed antibiotics to my kids when they were young because I didn't know any better. They didn't know any better. But just in the etymology of the word itself, antibiotic, like, are we not getting that still? We need to be proactive in working with our bodies instead of against them. That's the way of the world, though. That's the way they work. They are anti everything. You can't even, who knows? They're probably going to charge you or label how you sneeze in the future. For goodness sakes, you know? Oh, that was too loud. That's $5 now. Oh, you didn't do it right. You didn't do it like everybody else does. So, okay, where was I? Oh, the night in Wilkes-Barre. Okay. Ugh. See, like some of these places, like I use the term God, even though I don't really like to use that term. And in my own personal prayers and communications and relationships, I don't use that term. But for the general population who knows the Creator as God, I just try to keep it simple. I realize now, although I didn't then, that God took me on a very specific journey to all these places over the last 7 years on my journey of awakening throughout some horrific situations that probably most people wouldn't have survived. I went underground in tunnels. I was out in the snow and ice with nothing to shelter me. I ate dry ramen noodles out of the package with no water. I, like I said, slept in a porta potty because I could lock the door and I didn't feel safe. But on the creepier end of the spectrum, while I was out in the dark on the streets or out in the woods or wherever, just me and God, one night I was so tired because, okay, what did I get to? Porta potty. Couldn't take the stench anymore. So by this time, I don't know, it's 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, something around then. I've been walking, going. I'm exhausted. My nerves are shot. I just want to sleep. I just want to close my eyes. I didn't care if I only slept for 20 minutes. I just needed that rest, or I felt like I was going to collapse, like just collapse. So at that time, I was still nervous. While I was in the porta potty, there wasn't a knock on the door, but a couple times while I was in there, there was a one bang knock on the side where my head was. Found that kind of odd. And that happened twice. So I was a little creeped out, you know. I know these beings aren't physical, so I have to keep my wits about me, you know, see the unseen. And so I'm walking and I'm like, okay, I'm going to drop. I need somewhere to sleep right now. And there was a street light next to a road. And I thought, perfect. At least I will be under this casted light from this street light and right next to a road. If anybody tries to come up on me while I'm trying to sleep and tries to mess with me, maybe somebody will see me. That's what was going through my head at this time. Now, I got really good at when I was homeless because I slept on a lot of concrete and in the woods and places where people of ill repute would be, like drug users and things like that. I mean, that's what you're out in it with, you know? And so I always checked whatever area I was going to lay down or sit down on for needles and broken glass. Did that same thing tonight. I looked around the pole, nothing there. I looped my bags. I think I have told this story before, but here we go because it's part of this story. I drew my knees up and I just put my head down and I did fall asleep. And when I woke up, this is the story actually that I told my son on the phone for the first time yesterday. And it felt good coming out of the spiritual closet a little bit with my boys because I lost them through the course of this awakening too. Anyways, when I woke up, it wasn't long. I couldn't say 20, 30 minutes had passed. That's what it felt like anyways. It was still dark. I could tell it was still probably 3 o'clock in the morning, something around there. And I woke up in a panic. Like I was like, oh, and I immediately stood up as if like something had scared me awake, but I didn't hear anything. You know, there wasn't anybody there. There wasn't any noise. I just woke up, stood up, and then I started thinking in my head, this probably wasn't the greatest idea. Like, I'm exposing myself out here in this light. Anybody could drive by and see a single female. Then I started to like doubt, and I was like, I'm just going to get my shit and go over into the trees. And I don't care if I'm in the dark, I'll feel safer over there. So as I bent down to grab my bags, right next to the pole where my butt had been was 2 little tiny toddler shoes placed perfectly side by side, right up against the pole next to where my butt had just been. They weren't there when I sat down. So that's one. Then we have the suffering and near death with Morgellons disease, which I know for a fact is a targeted illness because they are programmed AI nanofibers, and I even have footage of a dancing one on my easel on my old channel. All the videos are still up and available on my old channel on YouTube, the original Metronome. They're all still there. So everything I say is the truth. I'm not a liar. I have no reason to lie. I have not come out winning in any of this myself. So I have no motive but to share my story because I'm so thankful for all of you who have shared yours along the way, giving me the courage. And I'm going to admit that 9 times out of 10, the reason I record a video is because I'm afraid. I have a big problem with stage fright, and I always have my whole life. I don't like being in the spotlight. I don't like all eyes on me. I hate it. And I don't really have a problem with it so much anymore because I came to terms with the fact that so many unseen eyes are on us all the time, every day anyways, so it really doesn't matter. But for a while, I was pretty salty about it. So I recorded videos because that still gave me the option. If I wanted to wimp out, I could just delete it and never upload it. And unfortunately, in my old channel and even on this current new channel, I have done that in the past. I have, because I was just like, no, I don't know what the reason. I lost my nerve and I deleted it. And that unfortunately probably did a disservice to somebody out there who was like me. And now they didn't get to hear one of my stories and maybe they lost their confidence to share too. So I apologize for the times I deleted videos and lost my nerve to share them or recorded them when I should have done a live stream. because live streams are in the moment, here and now, real time. It's like how debates used to be before they started muting microphones and giving people determined times to speak. Debates were passionate and they were in the moment, and you spoke in the moment for that reason, to drive a point home. You don't see that anymore. So it's not a real debate, in my opinion. But let's see. The Morgellons was so bad, which I did have a witness. The guy who was my roommate slash boyfriend slash abuser at that time was witness with me when these fibers would be streaming into my open bedroom window as if they were guided, and they would go right to my bed as if they were programmed to follow a very direct path. They were. Then they would land all over me. Oh God, I don't even want to talk about Morgellons. I will, because I've also been guided to speak about my whole experience with it, including when I was turned away from the doctors and the actual reality of Morgellons, which is a demonic thing in all its forms. I can't even go there right now because my nerves would be in my throat if I relived what I went through with that right now. But that is something I went through and survived it. But I very clearly remember the night that I felt these fibers wrapping around my throat, wrapping around my lungs, and internally and externally. They're like hairs. Some of them were so long, they were like long hairs. And oh, that night, it was 2020, and I was in Pennsylvania, and I was living in that demonic house, that HUD house that I had with the roommate, but I didn't have the roommate yet. I was there by myself. And I started sleeping downstairs on the couch because the fibers were so bad upstairs. Even I couldn't close my window because it was too hot on the second floor. So I was just like, I'm going to sleep downstairs from now on. And I used to have to vacuum my couch and dust my house every single day, and sometimes multiple times a day, because these things would leave a layer within hours. And I know what it came from the first time, and that's why I've been really speaking up heavy against all this time again, because I'm like, oh fuck no, I'm not going through that again. Nah, I won't. Let's just period. I won't do it again. And this particular night, I reclined my couch. I was getting ready to go to sleep. I had no phone. One of my friends down the street had lent me her little MP3 player just so I could have music. I could have some noise of something in the background. I had no TV, no phone, no way to contact anybody. And I prayed out loud, and I felt these things like literally wrapping around my throat and my insides. And I made my own peace with the Creator, and I said, I'm ready. And I look into my eyes right in this moment. I am telling you the truth. I did not expect to wake up. But I did. my sister and I were astrally raped by entities when we were toddlers. When I was taken into the psych ward in 2021, on my birthday, I had been sleeping under a covered bus bench because it was snowing. And I really wanted to kill myself that night because I had just had enough. Nobody would help me. Could barely get food. No doctor would listen to me. No shelter would take me in. And I had enough. I didn't want to wake up one more day and have to suffer. I didn't. So I threatened to kill myself. And apparently somebody drove by or heard me or walked by or whatever. I'm sure I'm always under surveillance anyways, one way or another. But a cop shows up. I'm alone. It's dark. Now nighttime. I actually got woken up by him. I was sleeping. And he's asking me the usual questions. What's going on? We got a report that you're talking about hurting yourself, but the usual bullshit. He says, all right, are you hungry? This is what a scumbag, okay? I'm about to tell you. This is the kind of demonic energy that I was subject to. Are you hungry? Thirsty? I was like, yeah. Again, it's my birthday. It's freezing cold. I'm on a wooden covered bus bench trying to sleep on my birthday. No food, no water, no nothing. A lady did walk down earlier that day and she brought me a coat and a blanket. Bless that lady. And she gave me, I think, $6, $7 in cash. Bless that lady. There are angels too, you know. But this asshole cop says, all right, well, we're going to get you something to eat. And I got an ambulance coming. Can take you into the hospital. And I was like thinking, all right, they're going to anyways. So, I mean, what can you do? So he's like, grab your stuff. And I grab my bag. I stand up. And who walks out from behind him? Not an ambulance. Not anybody with a sandwich or a bottle of water. Another cop. So I stand up, and before I can even lift my bag onto myself, they take me by either arm and slam me down on the ground. Then as the one cop has his knee digging into my back and my face is against the ground like this, I can see the other cop rifling through my bag in the trunk of his squad car. And I might also mention Lee Heighton's finest that my Chromebook went missing that night. And it wasn't until 2022 when I was living down here in Florida at my sister's house that I got a call from, wouldn't you know it, the hospital security where they took me that night, saying he has my property in his safe. How did he get my property in his safe? That was in my backpack. Oh, yeah. When he was rifling through my shit, which he had no right to do, while the other big ass dude held me down with his knee to my back. I really struggled trying to remember the crime that I had committed to deserve that. But then I remembered, oh yeah, I didn't. So then an ambulance gets there. They strap me in the ambulance, wheel me into the lower level of the hospital because they bring psych ward patients in through the tunnel, through the back, in case they're unruly. You don't get red carpet service or anything. So they strap me down in there. I was belligerent. I knew this was an attack against me. They were not following any protocol at all, and I was being abused left and right. So there's this female, whatever she was, agent, that's all I'm going to call her, got right in my face as I was strapped down in the bed, and she's ripping off my jewelry, ripped off my turquoise bracelet, and all the beads went all over the floor. And as I'm strapped, spread eagle, you know, naked, there's all male cops standing around, and I screamed, "Stop looking at me!" And that motherfucker turned around with a grin on his face and looked at me some more. So these types of things go a little beyond hospital and police protocol, if you ask me. And I don't care if you ask me, I'm telling you because I lived it. Tree spirits, I call them tree people. They were very helpful to me along my journey. Very helpful, and I appreciate them very much. A lot of people call them shadow people. They're not shadows. They're just dark. But they live in forests, mostly in trees. And yeah, I don't think if not for them, I would have had a good chance either. Because I have had some nasty things after me in my journey. And you look at my YouTube channel, I got Illuminati agents being sent to me, invading my life. I don't affiliate myself with any group, any political party, any society, whether they're secret or not. I love my independence. Me, myself, and I am my creator. That's how I like it. And my cat. But a lifetime of oh god, just okay. What proved to me that these attacks were being made upon me were because they were things that I knew were not inherently true to my core nature, to my soul, even, such as I can vividly recall points in my life where I would stand and look at myself in the mirror in the bathroom while I was cutting myself or harming myself in some other way, telling myself, I fucking hate you. You are a pathetic excuse for this, that. You disgust me. Like these words literally came out of my mouth in affirmations to my own self. I hated myself. I loathed myself. Well, no, I don't. So I was like, there's a technology that's called V2K, voice to skull, where it projects frequencies of thought into your brainwave patterns. That's why it's very important, because the brain uses like beta, gamma, delta, all these brainwave frequencies. And unfortunately, that's another wormhole way they get in, is if you're like a negative, critical, that's like opening a little pathway to let these frequencies in that are not good. They're harmful. They're negative. So, anyways, I have had a lot of experiences. I realized that God took me through this journey because that is my purpose, is to see and expose darkness and to transmute it, cleanse it, release it, balance it, whatever I'm called to do when I'm confronted with it. And I figured I had to ask for a long time, because I was like, why me? And this is what prompted me to finally give me the courage to be obedient and make this video, because I was reading in the book of Job. And if I can relate to anyone in this Bible, it is Job. Where I'm just like, what else can I, like, what else can I lose? What else can I suffer through? Because it's all gone. And then I would always question, why me? But I didn't ask God in a way of like, oh, woe is me, poor me, why me? Why do I was asking sincerely, what the fuck about me makes all this come in my direction? Because I'm a pretty easygoing and peaceful person. I'm very independent and private, and I like my peace and quiet, and I don't bother other people. I'm very respectful and considerate of other people's environments and even their personal space. Yet, for the life of me, I can't get that in return. So I had to start questioning why. And I'm not going to reveal everything between my creator and myself, but I will say that a person's integrity plays a big part in God calling them to do certain things, as well as willingness to do what God tells you to do. When, like, I know how insane my life looks to an outside person looking in. Trust me, I'm aware enough and smart enough to realize this and sane enough. But I don't live my life doing what I want, when I want, how I want anymore. I do what God wants me to do, even when that costs me. Like, I'll use an example of here, living at my aunt's house. Like, I am called to a lot of solitude. And unfortunately, my aunt and her generation are the gather around the table and at restaurants and talk, and gossip and weather and celebrities. And I don't have time for that. So I was like, I feel bad on one token because I have to use my time very wisely and I don't get a lot of it when not working, which is the other obstacle to doing it. So I work with what I can, and I always try to not offend others and to be respectful of others when I do. And usually that is in me taking a loss somehow. Not fully being able to, I guess I would say express, but it could be more than that. Sometimes I am called to go somewhere. Sometimes I am called to play certain music. Sometimes I'm called to dance. Sometimes I'm called to sing. And I can't do any of that in these environments that I'm always subject to. So I feel like I'm disappointing God. And that's why I get salty. But I do believe I was brought back here to my family to come back to my childhood home of where it all began and confront everything in my life that has opposed me and come against me. My old channel was shut down. All my accounts were hacked. They very much did try to cancel me, but for some reason, I'm not dead. And I think I was a very fearful person for most of my life, and I pretty much, I will say with 99.9% certainty, lost all fear of everything because I faced it all, like literally the darkest of the dark in the darkest places I could imagine, with the darkest entities I could imagine. And I also think that my ability to accept others for who they are and not view them as an enemy just because they're different has gained me a lot of ground in these non-human realms. Perfect, non-human. I will, to paint the picture a little more vividly, use the term monsterific. What can I say? I have abilities of like telepathic communication. So I've had a lot of conversations with other beings who aren't human and or confrontations with them where maybe they took on the form of a deer or something because they didn't want to show me their physical form. But I tried to tell them, like, you don't have to be afraid. I'm not going to be afraid of you. And a lot of them, what I found, it made me sad because they don't interact with humans because that's all they've ever been taught is they're either going to be attacked right away or the human's going to run screaming in terror because of their appearance or whatever. And I'm just built a little differently, I guess. I don't get scared off that easily. So I think that's why I was kind of chosen for this work too, because it's not fun. It's not easy. It's not a good time. It's not some job that you're like, oh, awesome. But for me, it is rewarding because I know I'm helping to get rid of negative energies if they need to be gone from here and instead replace them with something good. At least that's the hope in what I do. All right, I guess that's about it. Thanks again, Helen, for sharing the Annabelle story. Kind of like Ed and Lorraine Warren, I guess would be a little bit of like what I do, but not just for the communication's sake, but also for the making it a safe space sake. Much love, everybody. Thanks, Alex, for being here. Love you.